Now, I also mentioned too that a fellow that has been in touch with me for an awful long time, his brother was in the CIA, or is in the CIA. He will never talk about the CIA to him. He'll never give anything away whatsoever, except one bit of advice. He said, never watch the television. Never watch the television. It's the greatest scientific indoctrination tool ever devised. Haven't you figured that out? It's changed the whole culture of nations, not just one nation. Why do you think it was mandatory that everybody in Britain give access to televisions by the government? Why do you think China is under the same program to get everyone to the TV right now? Because they love to have you entertained. Do you really think that? And India is on the same route as well right now too. Most of your ideas and your opinions and how you emulate, because you emulate things, you mimic what you see. It becomes you, you become it. And that's what's happened. It's been very, very, very successful. Never watch the television.
I want to bring back former FBI agent Brad Garrett, an ABC News contributor. Brad, we were showing that video released yesterday of what the FBI says is the shooter running across the roof of a building, then jumping down, and then watch as he jumps down right now, sort of scales for a second, drops to the ground, and then you can see them sort of running in a casual fashion, or at least walking quickly away from there. And I think for a lot of people not in law enforcement, you look at that and you think, that person's dressed in dark clothing, they've got a hat on, you can sort of barely make out who they are at all. What do you see when you see a video like that? How much evidence is in there that those of us who aren't professionals don't notice?
Well, assuming that you can link him, as we've talked about earlier today, to this crime, linking him to the weapon, etc., it's all about taking pieces of information of the timing through the video, assuming that's the same person that you just showed, going up to the roof, then coming and walking across the roof, jumping off the roof, and then walking sort of via the camera diagonally away. And so the time frame, the time stamps on all of that become important, because then it puts this person, again, you got to link him to the crime, but it puts this person in the proximity on the roof at the time that Charlie was shot.
You can't watch a movie unless you do it critically. If you watch it critically, not there to enjoy it. Remember what they say, it's your emotions that get you on. And it's interwoven, all these emotional themes all through movies. You're played like a harp. And they embed ideas into you, along with the movies. And predictive programming too. So you'll accept that which is still to come. And you'll behave the same way as the characters in the movie when it comes. Oh well, what can you do? I'll just watch much music or television. Yeah. You're given a mind of your own, and you've got to use it for yourself. And believe you me, if you ever had a nation or wanted a nation, you'd have to make sure that everyone took their turn. Everyone took their turn, just like jury duty, to go in and oversee the guys that are supposed to be taking care of everything on your behalf. It's a tight club right now. It's been like that forever, because they never intended to give you anything called democracy, or, in fact, a republic. Gangs and fraternities run the systems of the countries. That's how they're run. And under taxation, and it's true what Marx said, and it's true what Lenin said about that part of it, all wealth comes from labor. And tax is another term for labor. When they take your labor from you and give you nothing back for it, that's called stealing and slavery. Slavery, folks. But no teacher told you that, did they? Look at the dictionaries if you can find an old enough one, because they keep changing them too.
80,000 pages of documents is a lot to sift through.
Yeah.
Can you just tell us who killed Kennedy?
Well, I was given the task of releasing that, because many presidents have gone through it and they haven't released And I said, release. We even released Social Security numbers. I didn't want anything deleted. I don't think there's anything that's earth-shattering, but you'll have to make that determination.
We're standing between Main Street and Elm Street on Houston Street in downtown Dallas. This is the intersection, Houston and Elm, where the assassination of President Kennedy occurred.
Crooked Joe Biden does not want RFK Jr. in the debates because Jr. is far left of him, and they would be debating over the same territory like ridiculous open borders and the Green New Scam, both of which are killing our country, but they love both of them. He's also sharper and far more intelligent than Joe, all making for a bad combination of ingredients. I don't care if Jr. joins the debate, but right now his polling numbers are absolutely terrible. He's not properly qualified in the states, and he seems to be on a downward path. Junior needs more than his name to get on that stage, but if he gets on there, I would love it.
Democratic White House contender Robert Kennedy Jr. blaming the CIA for assassinating his uncle, former President John F. Kennedy, back on November 22nd, 1963.
There's a 60-year cover-up. The Warren Commission was run by Allen Dulles, who was the head of the CIA, who my uncle fired. Congress found that, it was a plot. It was a conspiracy. There were multiple people involved.
RFK Jr. adding there is overwhelming evidence that the CIA was involved in his murder. I think it's beyond a reasonable doubt at this point. The CIA, of course, claims the agency was involved in the assassination of JFK a lie. Now, Kennedy is citing James Douglas's book, JFK and the Unspeakable, as having the most evidence. Tonight, RFK Jr. calling on President Biden to release all the documents about his uncle's death and follow through with the 1992 Assassination Records Act Biden voted for.
Do you know what terror is?
Hello.
Do you live here?
Nobody lives here.
60 years after one of the most earth-shattering days in modern American history, when President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas in 1963.
President John F. Kennedy died at approximately 1 o'clock Central Standard Time.
Tonight, former Secret Service agent Paul Landis, who was with the president that day, is opening up for the first time about what he witnessed. For decades, the prevailing theory was that one bullet struck JFK and then hit Texas Governor John Connally, who was sitting in front of him. It became known as the magic bullet theory, which explained how one shooter could have fired all the shots. The theory is based on this bullet being found on Governor Connally's gurney at the hospital. But now, in a new book, Landis says he knows how it got there. The 88-year-old tells the New York Times he found that bullet lodged in the car seat behind where Kennedy was killed.
Well, some of the surviving witnesses of the assassination of President John F. Kennedy are among those sharing their stories as the nation marks 60 years today since his death. Today in downtown Dallas, there are several exhibits and a ceremony honoring the late president. Fox 4's Alex Boyer is there live. Alex.
Hey, Dan, it's hard to believe it's been 6 decades since then President John F. Kennedy was assassinated while his motorcade drove through Dealey Plaza here in downtown Dallas. Now, a couple hundred people have gathered here today at the plaza to commemorate the 60th year since Kennedy was killed. I'm told that there will be a moment of silence at 12:30 p.m. today. Now, new this year are banners that say JFK was here. They're strategically placed along the motorcade route Kennedy took that day, beginning at Dallas Love Field Airport airport where Air Force One landed. Now, each one is accompanied by a historical photo taken by someone who was along that part of the route that fateful day. Now, the sixth floor museum expects to sell out, and general admission tickets have sold out, I understand, that get you into the new 2 Days in Texas exhibit, which shows new archives and items about Kennedy's trip to Texas back in 1963. There will also be flowers in the exhibit to honor the former president. The museum does this every year on the anniversary, but what's new this year is something that they're having called gallery talks. Now, that's where museum employees, they're holding these informational talks that last about 15 and 20 minutes, and they're really special this year in order to mark the 60 years since Kennedy's assassination. And, you know, I've had a chance to talk to a couple people while I've been out here. One gentleman was just 12 years old, had attended the parade here that day when John F. Kennedy was shot. He told me that he's never felt such a high and low on any single day of his life. Dan?
Yes, some extraordinary and powerful memories. Thanks very much, Alex Boyer, reporting live for us in Dealey Plaza.
I think Ted Cruz can make the case, can continue to make the case that he is the heir to a conservative Reagan legacy that Donald Trump isn't. He's a big government conservative. And might I add, Allison, just on a competitor network this morning, Donald Trump broke Reagan's 11th commandment in the grossest way possible, where he accused Ted Cruz's father, Rafael Cruz, of being involved in the JFK assassination. I mean, this is false tabloid trash that Donald Trump is spreading.
I'm telling the truth, Doc. You gotta believe me.
Then tell me, future boy, who's president of the United States in 1985?
Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan? The actor? Then who's vice president? Jerry Lewis?
I'd like to comment on a conspiracy theory in the Kennedy case that seems to have been overlooked. So far, the demands for further investigation stem from ideas that Lee Harvey Oswald acted not alone, and that possibly his cohorts were agents of our own government. But have we hesitated to investigate the possibility that Oswald might have been carrying out a plot engineered by an international agency? Even the original investigation by the Warren Commission seems to have ignored some obvious clues and been rather in haste to settle for Oswald as a lone killer. Former Marine Lee Harvey Oswald gave up his American citizenship and moved to Russia. He'd learned the Russian language before he defected. Someone must have helped him do this. Once in Russia, he married the niece of a colonel in the Soviet spy organization, the KGB. Thanks to that marriage, he lived at a level of luxury above that of the average citizen in Russia. While he is supposed to have recanted his favorable views on the USSR, it does seem strangely unlike the Soviets that he was allowed to return to the United States with his Russian wife. He was not the usual disillusioned returnee eager to blow the whistle on his one-time Soviet connection in good working condition. The Warren Commission was evidently unimpressed with the fact that he was an enthusiastic member of the pro-Castro Fair Play for Cuba Committee. Nor did the Commission find it significant that 2 months before the assassination, he went to the Soviet embassy in Mexico City and was seen in the company of 2 known Cuban agents. After his arrest, his wallet was found to contain the addresses of the Communist Daily Worker and the Soviet embassy in Washington. It's been reported by more than one source that President Johnson and the Commission were fearful that evidence of a communist conspiracy involving as it would the Soviet Union and or Cuba would anger the American people and lead to a confrontation, possibly even to war.
Now, 3 Russian warships and a submarine have arrived in Cuba. That's around 90 miles off the US coast. The ships will be carrying out military exercises. Cuba says it does not represent a threat to the region. Likewise, US officials have said the drills are non-threatening, though it comes as tensions are still high between the US and Russia over the war in Ukraine. While hosting his Cuban counterpart in Moscow on Wednesday, the Russian Foreign Minister, Sergei Lavrov, said Moscow was grateful to Cuba for its principled position on the situation around Ukraine. Now, it's important to note the Russian warships are not believed to be carrying nuclear weapons. But what exactly are they doing in Cuba.
This is ridiculous. It's just all ridiculous.
Hey, Jeffrey, in case people missed it and were watching New Day, as they should be.
Of course, I saw it on Twitter, Allison. I saw it on Twitter. I was watching New Day.
Thank you. Very well played. What Donald Trump said on a morning show is that, I'll just read it to you. This story comes courtesy of National Enquirer. He said that Cruz's father was with Lee Harvey Oswald prior to Oswald's being shot. Is this a good
I saw it in the grocery store. Allison. I have no knowledge beyond that. I'll check the Warren report here on the bookshelf.
Yes, I mean, look, Jeffrey, you're laughing and you're taking this in stride, but Donald Trump is using the National Enquirer as a source for what he's then saying on national TV. Is that a good idea?
I think this is why people love him. There are some things that are not worth taking seriously. This is probably one of them.
The first of multiple 2024 presidential debates between Biden and former President Trump will happen on CNN June 27th.
This June, CNN will host the first 2024 presidential debate between President Biden
I could take him behind the gym.
and former President Trump.
I'd like to punch him in the face.
It's the showdown between the men a breeze can blow down, and CNN has a preview of all the geriatric Jerry action.
The two candidates are really going at it. Wolf Blitzer in the white shirt desperately trying to moderate. Oh, and Trump is down. And now Biden on the attack. Biden is down, and Blitzer is down.
Do you have any people being paid by the CIA who are contributing to the national news services, AP and UPI?
Well, again, I think we're getting into the kind of detail, Mr. Chairman, that I'd prefer to handle in executive session.
I had some family that did stuff for the CIA. Because my dad, he was someone who would do medical procedures on high-level CIA people.
I'll tell the government right now, tell you right now if you're listening, NSA, CIA, I'm available, okay? If you show me all the real wreckage, I swear to God, I will make fun of that crap to the end of time. I'll make up stories. I'll lie to my mother. I don't care. You show me a UFO, I'll lie to my mother.
This video, obtained by ABC News, appears to show the fury of the Turkish attack on the border town of Tel Aviv, a border town bombarded by Turkey's military.
This video right here appearing to show Turkey's military bombing Kurd civilians in a Syrian border town. The Kurds, who fought alongside the U.S. against ISIS. Now, horrific reports of atrocities committed by Turkish-backed fighters on those very allies.
He says he then took that bullet to the hospital and placed it on the president's gurney. It was a piece of evidence, he tells the Times, and I didn't want it to disappear or get lost. So it was, Paul, you've got to make a decision, and I grabbed it. But Landis now says he thinks the bullet may have rolled from Kennedy's gurney to Connolly's, meaning it may not have been the bullet that injured Connolly.
Dr. Aguilar, you studied this case for years. How significant is this?
I think this is a significant piece of new evidence to support the idea that there was more than one gunman in Dealey Plaza.
Clint Hill, the Secret Service agent who climbed on the back of the limo after Kennedy was shot, questions Landis's story.
Why do you have doubts about his account?
Because if you check all the evidence, statements, things that happened, they don't line up. It doesn't make any sense to me that he's trying to put it on the president's journey.
But Landis, who was not available for an interview with NBC News, tells the Times he made mistakes in his initial reports. He says he's been afraid to share his true story until now.
Over there is the building, the Texas School Book Depository, from which the fatal shot was fired. 4 stories up, the window on the corner of the 4th floor. The assassin apparently propped his .30 caliber weapon up on some boxes and some school textbooks to get a good line of sight on President Kennedy as his car passed this intersection. Traffic moving smoothly there this afternoon. Traffic exceptionally heavy around this intersection, as literally thousands of people today have been interested in just driving by to see the spot where the president was killed. Directly across the street from the building from which the shot was fired, out in a park which is in somewhat the middle of a freeway cloverleaf, is a mourning wreath which was placed there early this morning to mark the approximate spot where President Kennedy was assassinated. Of course, the exact spot was in the street, but the wreath is less than 50 yards from the exact spot. There is some talk of a monument of some kind being erected by the city of Dallas where this wreath is located now. A whole block of people, perhaps we should say a line of people, a block in width, stretching between Main and Elm Streets along Houston, stand around, talk to each other, talk about what happened here yesterday. Directly across the street from the wreath, and also catty-cornered across the street from where the shooting occurred, is the location of the county jail. This is the jail to which Lee Oswald, the 24-year-old man who is charged with assassinating the president, is expected to be brought at any time. Oswald has been, since his arrest, at the city police headquarters, located about 1.5 miles from here, but we have indications that Oswald will be brought to this jail, the county jail, at any time. Police indicate that they may finish questioning Oswald, at least their initial interrogations, sometime late this afternoon or early this evening. This is Dan Rather at the now infamous corner of Houston and Elm in downtown Dallas.
I've come here today to announce my candidacy for the Democratic nomination for President of the United States. My mission over the next 18 months of this campaign and throughout my presidency will be to end the corrupt merger of state and corporate power that is threatening now to impose a new kind of corporate feudalism on our country, to commoditize our children, our Purple Mountain's majesty, to poison our children and our people with chemicals and pharmaceutical drugs, to strip mine our assets, to hollow out the middle class, and keep us in a constant state of war.
And now for the next 30 minutes, As the World Turns.
For viewers of the CBS soap opera As the World Turns, first word came at about 1:40 p.m. Eastern Time. It happened too quickly for cameras to be in place.
And I gave it a great deal of thought, Grandpa.
Here is a bulletin from CBS News. In Dallas, Texas, 3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade in downtown Dallas. The first reports say that President Kennedy has been seriously wounded by this shooting.
Then it was back to the soap opera, but not for long. Soon after, Walter Cronkite was back, reporting from the CBS newsroom, complete with rotary telephones and wire machines.
This picture has just been transmitted by wire. It is a picture taken just a moment or two before the incident. If you can zoom in with that camera, we can get a closer look at this picture.
And almost exactly 1 hour after his initial bulletin, this now famous announcement.
From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, some 38 minutes ago. Vice President Lyndon Johnson has left the hospital in Dallas, but we do not know to where he has proceeded. Presumably, he will be taking the oath of office shortly and become the 36th President of the United States.
I don't think in the long run the world can exist half slave and half free. And whether it moves in the direction of slavery, whether it moves in the direction of the communists, or whether it moves in the direction of freedom, will depend in the final analysis upon us, on our commitment to build a strong country in a free world.
Knight of Columbus John Fitzgerald Kennedy, now a senator from Massachusetts, is on the political rise. In 1960, he secures the Democratic Party's presidential nomination and runs against Republican Vice President Richard Nixon.
As we face the coming great challenge, we too shall wait upon the Lord and ask that He renew our strength. Then shall we be equal to the test. Then we shall not be weary. Then we shall prevail.
Did you know that that movie is kind of a metaphor?
For what?
For the assassination of JFK. The sins of the father have come back for the children in Wes Craven's A Nightmare on Elm Street. This horror movie classic from 1984, we meet Freddy Krueger. In life, a serial killer and child molester, but in death, something far more supernatural. Killed by the parents of a generation earlier, Freddy now tortures and kills the children of Springfield in their dreams. No one is safe in a film that is clearly a metaphor for the assassination of John F. Kennedy and the permanent effect it wrought on generations that followed. On November 22nd, 1963, President Kennedy's motorcade made that fateful turn onto the real-life Elm Street in Dallas, Texas. This is where the true Nightmare on Elm Street occurred. The nightmare that would shape the dreams of anyone born into its filthy, smoke-filled aftermath.
A proposal to reinvent Dealey Plaza could possibly close Elm Street, where President Kennedy was assassinated. The idea is earning praise from some, but raising concern from preservationists. Fox 4's Lori Brown is live in Dealey Plaza with the story. Lori.
Basic principles of time travel are there. You got your vessel and your portal. The vessel can be just about anything, most likely a spacecraft.
Like a DeLorean.
Aircraft.
You know, I love that movie, the way they shot it. It's so, like futuristic, you know?
42 minutes, 12 seconds. That is when the world ended.
I want to be a president of the United States who makes sure that we never again do business
crimes like a genuine man. We never had him on. I went down there and talked to the president of Panama about cleaning up their money laundering.
This morning, the Trump campaign revealing the endorsement of 88 retired U.S. generals and admirals. The group signing a letter that in part rips the Obama administration. Quote, America's armed forces have been subjected to a series of ill-considered and debilitating budget cuts.
You guys know what this represents?
Tell us, sir.
Maybe it's the calm before the storm.
What's the storm?
Could be the calm before the storm.
What storm is
We have the world's great military people in this room, I will tell you that. And we're going to have a great evening. Thank you all for coming.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Listen, I have kind of a pressing appointment, but I thought you might run into a roadblock, so I asked someone to drop by. Well,
Mike?
sir?
Donald.
Mr. Trump here wrote The Art of the Deal. Then he wrote a new bestseller, The Art of the Comeback.
2 books. Wow. Well, sit down. Well, that must have been tough coming up with that much material.
No.
It's been hard getting started, though, right?
First day, 9 chapters.
9 chapters.
You should call your next book The Art of Not Helping.
1 year from now will mark 60 years since the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. And that has the architecture critic for the Dallas Morning News arguing that it is time to redesign Dealey Plaza and the Triple Underpass. But preservationists say closing Elm Street would be closing a window to history.
Elm Street going by here, over in the street are the X's where all those bullets made impact.
It is here that hundreds of thousands of people travel from around the country each year to gain a better understanding of the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, November 22nd, 1963.
You can still come in here and experience this place the same way they experienced it at that time. You can stand where Abraham Zapruder did his video.
You and I, remember? Let's get high.
Norman Alston, a historic preservation architect and board president of Preservation Dallas, says what makes this National Historic Landmark powerful is its authenticity.
To have something like this, an historic site that's this much intact, it's so much like it was, that when it became historically significant, is really quite rare. There's a lot of places wish they could have that.
Alston says preserving it at the time wasn't easy.
There was one school of thought that we tear down the school book depository, we change all of this, and we eradicate every vestige of that event as if it never happened. It was very difficult for the city, but cooler and I think better thoughts came out of that. That no, we have to, as we say now, own it.
Comment ose-t-il l'espérer? C'est qu'il est libre et de bonne mœurs. Puisqu'il en est ainsi qu'il passe par les flammes.
Last call for alcohol. Last call for your freedom of speech. Drink up, Happy hour is now enforced by law. Don't forget our house special. It's called the Tricky Dicky Screwdriver. It's got 1 part Jack Daniels, 2 parts purple Kool-Aid, and a shaker of formaldehyde from the jar with Hitler's brain in it we got in the back storeroom. Happy Emperor Ronald Reagan.
But like Al Smith before him, Kennedy will also have to tackle the issue of his religion.
Now, there is nothing in my religious faith which prevents me from executing my oath of office. Now, I have been in the service of the United States. I spent 3 years in the hospital afterwards. My brother was killed in the war. My sister's husband was killed in the war. I'd like to know whether there's some opinion that I am unable to fulfill my office of citizenship. There isn't.
There were pockets of America that just could never bring themselves to vote for a Catholic.
John Kennedy addressed a gathering of Protestant ministers in Texas on just this issue and assured them that his religious views were one thing, but as President of the United States, he would be president of the entire people.
Then I saw an angel coming down from heaven, holding in his hand the key to the bottomless pit and a great chain. And he seized the dragon, that ancient serpent, and bound him for 1,000 years, and threw him into the pit and shut it and sealed it over him, that he might not deceive the nations any longer. The wicked plots against the just, and they gnash their teeth upon the just people. My loins are filled with a loathsome disease, knowing you have committed such a sin. And from now on you're cursed from the earth. Cursed from the earth. Dust to dust, ashes to ashes, ashes to ashes.
It leads you here, despite your destination, under the Milky Way tonight.
I love that movie, the way they shot it. It's so, like futuristic, you know?
Wish I knew what you were.
42 minutes, 12 seconds.
Might have known what you were find.
Is when the world will end.
Mr. Sandman, Mr. Sandman. Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. Make her complexion like peaches and cream. Give her two lips like roses and clover. Then tell me that my lonesome nights are over. Sandman, I'm so alone. Don't have nobody to call my own. Your magic beam, Mr. Sandman, bring me a
Progress re-elect Mayor Red Thomas. Progress is his middle name. Mayor Red Thomas's Progress platform means more jobs, better education, bigger civic improvements, and lower taxes. On election day, ask your vote for a proven leader. Re-elect Mayor Red Thomas.
It's gotta be a dream.
Mr. Fox, Matthew McConaughey recently said that all celebrities should come and unite around President Trump. Do you think that'll ever happen?
I don't talk politics.
Yeah. I mean, do you think celebrities will...
I talk specific issues, ACA, but I don't talk politics. This way, Biff became president.
And it's something quite peculiar.
28 days,
Something shimmering and
6 hours, 42 minutes,
it leads you here
12 seconds.
despite your destination.
That is when the world will end.
Milky Way tonight.
All right, if you think you've been seeing a disproportionate number of stories on the Trump administration that appear to be slightly negative, you are right. A study just conducted, about 88% of them have been deemed negative in the first 30 or so days of the Trump administration.
Oprah Winfrey is speaking out about this video that's gone viral of Donald Trump in 1988.
I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
I would never want to rule it out totally because I really am tired of seeing what's happening with this country.
Oprah's best friend, Gayle King, wanted to know what she thinks about the Trump interview now.
When I asked that question, I didn't expect that answer.
And check this out. It's another lost video of young Donald Trump. This is from 1980, and he was interviewed by Tom Brokaw on the Today Show.
Mr. Trump, what's left in your life? You're 33 years old. You're worth all this money. You say you didn't say that you want to be worth $1 billion.
No, I really don't. I just want to keep busy and keep active and be interested in what I do.
Now, as the city approaches the somber 60-year milestone, a new conversation is unfolding, one begun by Dallas Morning News architecture critic Mark Lamster, who wrote last month, "Change is both necessary and inevitable. In the coming years, the path through Dealey Plaza and the Triple Underpass will become the primary conduit between downtown and the $250 million Trinity Park." The new vision, presented by one architecture firm in Boston, would in part introduce a memorial overlook linking Dealey Plaza and Martyrs Park, the little-known green space that cars zip by on the exit to I-30 or I-35. It would also close Elm Street to cars and turn it into space for pedestrians. With memorial pools marking the points where the bullets struck President Kennedy. Dallas Parks Board President Arun Agrawal supports the ideas presented.
Most exciting part is that this discussion is happening. I think we really need to make sure, we get proper public opinion about it, and we resolve the issues of historians or, whoever is objecting.
Now remember, all come from dust. To dust all shall return.
Our concern is the fact that your church has stated that it has the privilege and the right and the responsibility to direct its members in various areas of life, including the political realm.
But if this election is decided on the basis that 40 million Americans lost their chance of being president on the day they were baptized, then it is the whole nation that will be the loser in the eyes of history.
Kennedy wins by the smallest margin in American history. At 44, he is the youngest man ever elected to the office and the first Catholic president in history.
It's important for the 4 million people who come by here every year to see this, to be able to read and therefore to understand the importance of Kennedy, of his presidency. I'm Pat Corton with the Knights of Columbus. We decided that the restoration of the script in granite here at the graveside of John F. Kennedy was something that was very important to us. John F. Kennedy was not only America's first Catholic president, he was also a member of the Knights of Columbus. And so we decided that we would approach the folks at the Arlington National Cemetery and offer to pay for restoration of the lettering. The work is being done by Gordon Ponsford, who is a restoration expert from Georgia. He does a lot of work here at Arlington National Cemetery. He's done many, many projects here, and he's almost uniquely qualified to do this kind of work. And of course, he was able to gain some advice and insights from the original stonemason who did the work on this, John Everett Benson, who came by and has been kind enough to share his knowledge and his expertise. It's a wonderful thing.
There's a saying they have on Elm Street. One good nightmare deserves another. And you thought the nightmare was over. Well, dream on. A Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 4. The Dream Master. Finally, someone's ready for Freddy.
We're standing between Main Street and Elm Street on Houston Street in downtown Dallas. This is the intersection, Houston and Elm, where the assassination of President Kennedy occurred. Over there is the building, the Texas School Book Depository, from which the fatal shot was fired. 4 stories up, the window on the corner of the 4th floor. The assassin apparently propped his .30 caliber weapon up on some boxes and some school textbooks to get a good line of sight on President Kennedy as his car passed this intersection. Traffic moving smoothly there this afternoon. Traffic exceptionally heavy around this intersection, as literally thousands of people today have been interested in just driving by to see the spot where the president was killed.
To order, brethren, to receive the most worshipful, the Grand Master.
Freemasons meet as equals, and we have an opportunity to create a nation in the very essence of Masonic morality. It would be wonderfully symbolic, don't you think?
You'll be wanting to put the all-seeing eye on our banknotes next.
You think I'm taking it a bit far?
Please don't ask me questions like that, Brother Franklin. You know I cannot tell a lie.
Oh, come on, Brother Washington. Everybody lies occasionally, surely, especially politicians.
Not me. Not even so much as an alternative fact.
We must all be aware of fake news.
The people must be free to think what they like as well. We can have no thought police in our new society. The foundation stone of our new nation built on all those principles that we hold dear.
The plans for our new capital city already have a very Masonic feel to them, yeah.
Trump's interview in 1985 for the Manhattan magazine, Back to the Future, released 1985. Trump's ultimate deal, according to him, to negotiate the peace plan, 9/11, says, in 1980's trip proposed to demolish the Twin Towers and a World Trade Center complex in order to build a new one. New One Tower. That's exactly what happened. The One Freedom Tower. Right here, Back to the Future, writer Gale revealed that the character Biff Tannen was inspired by the U.S. President Donald Trump. Well, this was parked. The DeLorean was parked at his golf course.
McFly! Fujitsu-san, konnichiwa! McFly! I was monitoring that scan you just interfaced. You are terminated!
Terminated? No! It wasn't my fault, sir! It was Needles! Needles was behind the whole thing!
We're here to discuss a monumental national achievement. From the instant the coronavirus invaded our shores, we raced into action to develop a safe and effective vaccine at breakneck speed. We're just days away from authorization from the FDA, at which point we will immediately begin mass distribution. As a result of this unprecedented investment, we are exceedingly proud that both Pfizer and Moderna have announced that their vaccines are approximately 95% effective. Despite the grim projections from the media 8 months ago, we did something that nobody thought was possible. They said it will never happen, you could never do it, it was a pipe dream. In just a few minutes, I'll sign an executive order to ensure that American citizens have first priority to receive American vaccines. We will soon end the pandemic and we will save millions and millions of lives.
Operator! No, I didn't say, it was a sting operation. I was setting them up.
Read my facts.
Please, no, I cannot be fired. I'm fired.
You're fired.
This is heavy.
Wish I knew what you were looking for. Might have known what you were finding. Wish I knew what you were looking for.
Hatred on the streets of Charlottesville last night. White nationalists carrying torches.
It was a weekend of street battles and stark displays of racism.
But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
We are in a battle for the soul of the nation. Everything that's made America America is at stake. Limited to 4 years, history will treat this as an aberration. But if there's 8 years of this administration, I think it will forever and fundamentally change the character and the trajectory of this nation.
Candidate for initiation into the order, I'm giving them a little introduction into some of our mysteries. These two gentlemen are founding an entire nation built on our principles.
We have great promises for our new nation. You know, I wonder if other presidents after me will also be Freemasons.
Many will be. And Freemasonry will become embedded in the American culture. And the eye will appear on the banknotes.
Oh, God.
These principles will be honored with a gift from your French brethren. A gift that will be a welcoming beacon to the poor and oppressed.
This is the statue we are giving you.
It's a bit small, isn't it?
Oh, this is a maquette. The real thing is bigger. Much, Much bigger.
America will produce a great many great Americans from many different walks of life and many different fields, and many will be Masons. Sportsmen, actors, writers, soldiers, filmmakers, businessmen, inventors, astronauts.
What on earth is an astronaut?
No, they're not.
I don't follow.
Well, they're not on Earth, they're in space. In fact, Brother Buzz Aldrin was the second man to walk upon the surface of the moon.
That's the best thing I've heard this evening.
What, that a Mason walked on the moon?
Man on the moon. Amazing. But don't forget the musicians. Do not forget the musicians.
Authoritarian and totalitarian regimes continue to suppress Freemasonry, afraid of its strong heritage of liberty and equality.
It symbolizes the inevitability of your end.
The British Army had travelling lodges that moved with regiments. Freemasons have served their countries and communities with distinction.
Freemasons met across the Union and Confederate divide to celebrate their common rituals.
And today, Freemasonry remains an active part of military life in many countries.
Freemasonry has burned as a blazing fire through the last 3 centuries. The driving force behind the Royal Society was initiated into Freemasonry.
Prince Edward, Duke of Kent, father of Queen Victoria, and Prince Augustus, Duke of Sussex. The 2 princes brought their feuding Grand Lodges together and reconciled to be the United Grand Lodge of England.
Kings George IV, William IV, Edward VII, Edward VIII, and George VI were all Freemasons, as were 18 dukes and princes, including the Duke of Edinburgh.
This year, His Royal Highness Prince Edward, the Duke of Kent, celebrates his 50th year as Grand Master of the United Grand Lodge of England.
His Royal Highness was proposed into Freemasonry by the then Grand Master, the Earl of Scarborough.
He was initiated into Royal Alpha Lodge number 16, an advocate for the craft all over the world, continuing 3 centuries of distinguished royal tradition at the very heart of English Freemasonry.
To order, brethren, to receive the most worshipful, the Grand Master.
As permanent master of these 3 lodges, I now call on my deputy masters.
Most worshipful Grand Master.
Most worshipful Grand Master.
Most worshipful Grand Master.
Most worshipful Grand Master, I humbly ask you to complete the initiation of this worthy candidate for Freemasonry.
Adorn our ceremonies and forever remind us of our incomparable heritage, the birth of organized Freemasonry,
Stressing the deep and sincere loyalty and affection felt by the brethren of the United Grand Lodge of England for their Grand Master.
Footage has emerged of the former Vice President Creepy Biden with young children and with the Attorney General Jeff Sessions. We just want to play these clips and want to warn you that what you're about to see is very disturbing. Now, obviously, the behavior that you're seeing here fits the profile of a obviously, nobody out there would take liberties with other people's children like creepy Joe Biden does. And there's just tons of footage of him out there touching children inappropriately, caressing them, massaging them, basically grooming them, and making them feel basically awkward in their own skin. And this is part of the process. This is part of the virus that we're dealing with.
I had the pleasure of meeting 136 Grand Masters visiting from overseas at Freemasons Hall yesterday. Today, though, we are a meeting of more than 4,000 gathered from all around the world, from our own constitution and beyond. when the global Masonic family comes together to celebrate our past and to renew our own pride and confidence in and enthusiasm for Freemasonry.
I hereby read the text of a letter sent today to Buckingham Palace. May it please your Majesty, we, the representatives of over 200,000 Freemasons under the United Grand Lodge of England, most respectfully express our continuing loyalty to your Majesty's throne and person in this, the 66th year of your long and distinguished reign, of His Royal Highness the Duke of Kent, as our much loved and greatly respected Grand Master. We humbly thank God for preserving our order and fervently pray His blessings on your Majesty, so that our loyal devotion to your Majesty may long continue. Given at the Royal Albert Hall this 31st day of October, Anno Domini 2017. Her Majesty has been pleased to reply in the following terms. The Queen has asked me to thank you for your kind letter of loyal greetings on behalf of the representatives of the Freemasons under the United Grand Lodge of England, which are being celebrated on the 31st of October at the Royal Albert Hall. Her Majesty appreciated your thoughtfulness in writing as you did.
We leave the Royal Albert Hall even more proud of our ancient institution.
Worldwide, Freemasonry remains as important and relevant as ever. A global society of perhaps 6 million people.
As the globe embraced Freemasonry, enlightenment came.
I may not agree with what you say, but I shall defend to the death your right to say it.
None is more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Were we rolling tape on that?
There you go.
You got a brush? Yes.
Just a one-finger victory salute.
If we turn against each other based on divisions of race or religion,
the highly advanced pods operate with minimal energy needs, making it easy for your baby to make it to full term without any complications. And for those who want a more convenient solution, Ectolife is made accessible so your life can be easier. Thanks to our miniaturized bioreactors and long-lasting batteries, you can use Ectolife growth pods at the comfort of your home, allowing you to incubate your baby in your building without the need to visit our factory. By owning your special growth pod, you will have the ability to build a happy family, one baby at a time, away from any birth complications.
Trust in me.
The concept of Ectolife facility was designed by biotechnologist and science communicator Hashim Al-Ghaili. It relies on groundbreaking research work that has been conducted by scientists and engineers since 1950s. Tired of waiting for a response from an adoption agency? Unable to find a suitable surrogate mother? Worried about pregnancy complications? Worry no more, because Ectolife got you covered.
Well, this is rather interesting, actually. This is an arcane Scottish heraldic law providing evidence of Donald Trump's deep Anglophilia, I would say, and also touches upon the royal prerogative. There we have the double-headed eagle representing his Scottish Germanic heritage.
It is like that Rook woman said. Things were okay a few years ago, before 2008. Do you remember back then we used to think politics was boring?
Those were the days.
But now, I worry about everything. I don't know what to worry about first. Never mind the government. It's the sodding banks. They terrify me. And it's not even them. It's the companies, the brands, the corporations. They treat us like algorithms while they go around poisoning the air and the temperature and the rain. And don't even start me on ISIS. Oh, now we've got America. Never thought I'd be scared of America in a million years, but we've got fake news and false facts. I don't even know what's true anymore.
The Masonic Chip program uses modern police-approved techniques to create a child identification kit.
And we take fingerprints. We also provide them with a swab for getting a DNA swab, and we also provide them with imprint where they can get an imprint of the child's teeth. So not only does it provide DNA as well as a swab, but it is also a source if you were using tracking dogs to provide a scent for the child.
What sort of world are we in? Because if it's this bad now, what's it going to be like for you? Huh? 30 years time? 10 years? 5 years? What's it going to be like?
The other night at Church of Knives, Continental, Chip Divide, Mountain Sid, and Alliance, Leonard, Bernstein, Leonette, Brest, F, Lenny, Bruce, and Lester Banks, birthday party, cheesecake, jelly bean, symbiotic, patriotic, slam book net. Right? Right. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine. It's the end of the world as we know it.
Come on, try getting it out.
Ding, 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 ding.
Bong.
That's all, folks.
It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine.